Now, I invite our next participant, Aleen Siddiqui from Habib Girls' School, to kindly share her valuable thoughts.
Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to everyone here. My name is Aleen Siddiqui and my speech is a little bit different from what you've heard all day. I bet most of you probably didn't bother to read this number. Maybe you didn't even notice I put a letter in there. But don't worry, because this lack of attention has been noticed. An estimated number of 7 million US children have ever been diagnosed with ADHD. By now, this number has grown immensely, and countless more go undiagnosed. Concerning trends like these can be observed in children nowadays. They often have some kind of issue with their physical or mental health. I have substantial evidence that has led me to believe that this is not a coincidence or isolated occurrences. Today, I will present my proof on how technology and late-stage capitalism affect children's health and development. Let's begin with a well-known topic, modern technology. It's not only a known fact, it's a seen fact that technology is overused by children. And when you overuse something, it's fairly easy to misuse it. I know you've seen it too, from watching mothers wrestle their phones away from their children to watching that one little cousin whine about not getting his additional hour of screen time. It's alarming to see how much this generation depends on technology, and it's only going to get worse. A JAMA pediatric study featured 60 kids aged 3 to 5 who completed cognitive testing and then diffusion tensor imaging, an MRI technique used to map out white matter tracks. Parents also reported their screen time. The results? Shocking. They had reduced white matter and their development was disrupted and definitely impacted. The first 5 years of a child's life are the most important because they're in a high plasticity period where they're still developing. For children in this age group, it is recommended that they have at least 1 hour screen time and no more than that. Otherwise, you will produce children with weak cognitive abilities. But our problems extend beyond the brain. Myopia, aka short-sightedness, is one such thing. Sunlight stimulates the release of dopamine in the retina, slowing down excessive axial elongation. When you spend less time outside in the sun and more time inside on your devices, that's how you increase your risk of myopia. As anybody with a long screen time knows, devices heat up based on how much you use them, usually around 40 degrees Celsius to 65 degrees Celsius. Prolonged exposure to low heat just around 40 degrees that won't cause burns will cause toasted skin syndrome, which is when that same low heat harms your superficial blood vessels, causing permanent skin damage. That's not even the scary part. An inactive lifestyle that is commonly pursued by the youth of this generation can also cause serious health problems like metabolic syndrome, which is when you have 3 or more risk factors of heart disease or diabetes. Okay. Now, we all know that the internet is not a safe place, least of all for children. When they are exposed to mature content at an early age, then it may foster feelings of guilt, shock, or shame, and eventually desensitize them to it. They can even copy the aggressive mannerisms they see on the internet. They can even copy the aggressive mannerisms they see on the internet and may make it a habit and form unrealistic body ideals that will lead to body dysmorphia and eating disorders like anorexia nervosa. It also promotes substance abuse, which, aside from the physical harm, is one of the leading causes of suicide in adolescents. Now, let's shift our focus to capitalism. Late-stage capitalism is described as a criticized phase of the economic system, where extreme wealth inequality, corporate dominance, and prioritization of profits prevail. Karl Marx warns us about this stage in his book Das Kapital, where he describes it as a world so cold and so dystopian that even kindness becomes a commodity, bought and sold. The economic disparity directly affects families based on their position in the hierarchy and in society. This, in turn, affects the environment that a child grows up in, which, according to John Piaget's research, has a profound impact on the child. For example, a child who grew up in a lower class family may not receive as many opportunities or as much attention as someone who grew up in a middle class family. They might be driven to get on the same level as the above classes but not have ample opportunities, or they might have low self-esteem. It all depends on the child's personality and how they are brought up. We can even connect this to technology. The rise of AI has fostered many, many problems in society. But children around the world use it in excess. Though it is a terrific milestone for humanity itself, it's very dangerous for the young minds of this generation. They get the AI chatbots to do the work for them. And this, unbeknownst to them, is deteriorating their minds. Cognitive stimulation is one thing a young mind needs most, and we are not getting it by consulting generative AI. At this point, we're going to get incompetent experts. It's like if a doctor tried to diagnose you using Google, it is not going to be accurate, and they have no idea what they're doing. This directly affects a child's neurodevelopment. In 2022, it was found that more than half the 8th grade was incompetent in reading, and 30% were below basic reading level. The fact that they weren't held back before is appalling and shows just how much these two topics go hand in hand. When profit is prioritized and education treated like an industry, that's when your population becomes the definition of educated idiots. The current state of nutrition certainly does not help. The rise of processed food has also given rise to health problems like type 2 diabetes and obesity. Thanks to monopoly power, the corporations who control these industries will not stop the production unless they want to. These nutrient-poor products are not good for anybody's health. So what can we do about this as a whole? To ensure that the new generation grows up happy and healthy, we must limit the consumption of processed goods and the use of technology. Consumerism is a trap. We do not need to buy any of these products to feel better about ourselves. It is also advised that you educate your children about the things in the world that affect them, so that they will not lag behind in education as a whole and nor in being educated about the world. Giving them small pieces of mature information will allow them to process it properly and, through parents' help, in a healthy way. Let's strive to make our future brighter and our children's future even more brighter. Thank you.
Thank you, Aleen, for your inspiring ideas and clear message.